side to the story. Both sides 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 to the story. Knowledge is power. Class is in session, hour 106.
Before God and all mankind, I pledge the love and loyalty of my heart, the wisdom and courage of my mind, the strength and vigor of my body in the service of my fellow citizens. I promise to stand up for justice, brotherhood, and peace, to work diligently and creatively, to think generously and honestly, so that Jamaica may, under God, increase in beauty, fellowship, and prosperity, and play her part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race. a recitation of the national pledge of Jamaica, and after that, the rather hopeful and stirring delivery of that patriotic song. That's the focus this afternoon on your program, both sides of the story, Horror 106 FM, an opportunity to press a refresh button, perhaps, an opportunity to reinvigorate and to continue to encourage our people as they seek to play their part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race. It's the International Decade of Healthy Aging, the International Decade of Ecosystem Restoration, the International Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, the Decade of Action for Road Safety, and the UN International Decade of Indigenous Languages. It's the 26th day of the second month of 2024. Black History Month celebrations continue all across the world. And in terms of the observances for today, well, we did mention we're still celebrating Reggae Month and Heart Month and Black History Month. And it's Liberation Day in Kuwait. And today is local government election day here in Jamaica. Hoy es lunes, el 26 de febrero 2024. Y les saludamos en cualquier parte del mundo que nos están escuchando en este momento. Estamos muy agradecidos por el don de la vida y el privilegio de servirles en otra edición de su programa, Both Sides of the Story, ambos lados de la historia. Nunca vamos a tomar su audiencia por sentado porque sabemos que ustedes tienen otras opciones y esta es la razón por la cual jamás olvidamos darle las gracias por elegir Both Sides of the Story, ambos lados de la historia, de lunes a viernes desde las 2 hasta las 5 de la tarde, aquí en Power 106 FM. La misión continúa para educar, capacitar, iluminar y estimular el espíritu empresarial. Bienvenidos. C'est lundi, le 26 février 2024, et nous vous saluons tous qui nous écoutez où que vous soyez dans le monde. Nous sommes reconnaissants du don de la vie ainsi que du privilège d'être votre service pour une nouvelle édition de votre programme Both Sides of the Story, le pour et le contre. Nous ne considérons pas votre fidélité comme allant de soi parce que nous savons que vous avez l'embarras du choix. C'est pourquoi nous n'oublions jamais de vous remercier de choisir d'écouter Both Sides of the Story, le pour et le contre, du lundi au vendredi de 2h à 5h de l'après-midi sur notre antenne Power 106 FM. Nous continuons notre mission d'éduquer, d'habiliter, d'éclairer et d'encourager l'esprit d'entreprise. Bienvenue. All we're saying is it's Monday, the 26th of February, 2024, and we greet you well, wherever in the world you are listening to us right now. We remain eternally grateful for the gift of life and the privilege to serve you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story. We don't ever take your listenership for granted because we know you have choices, and that's why we never ever forget to remember to say thanks for choosing to listen to Both Sides of the Story, Monday to Friday, 2 to 5, right here on Power 106 FM. The mission continues to educate, empower, enlighten, and encourage entrepreneurship. Welcome.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:15. Cinerose Chromium Plus is an all-natural herbal product formulated specially for people with type 2 diabetes. An elevated sugar level in the blood will lead to renal failure, damage to the brain, and amputation of your toes or feet, damage to the heart, stroke, ECT. Cinerose Chromium Plus will reduce the level of sugar in the blood, taking it down to normal, and protect you. To get your Cinerose Chromium Plus, call Havco Herbs and Extracts 876-540-8871. Does climate change affect the productivity and profitability of goat rearing? What is the impact of the Eat What You Grow campaign on Jamaica's restaurant industry? Or do you think natural hazards affect livestock farming? These are some of the compelling topics that will be explored at the College of Agriculture, Science and Education Case Research Day, Thursday, February 29 at the TP Lucky Hall West Campus. Presenters will explore topics related to climate change and how future generations can be empowered for resilience and sustainability. Join them live on YouTube and Facebook for presentations throughout the day. It's the Case Research Day, February 29, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the College of Agriculture, Science and Education in picturesque Portland.
The Bible Speaks. 30 minutes of vitalizing motivation grounded in the Word of God. The Bible Speaks, showcasing soothing spiritual music from across the world. It's The Bible Speaks with Reverend Dr. Aaron Damas every Sunday from 6:30 to 7 a.m. here on Power 106 FM and the Power 106 FM app.
Good afternoon to the well-behaved Jamaicans who have been exercising their franchise and playing their part in in service to our country. We take note of some of the stories coming from various areas across the country. Police in Southeast St. Anne say today's local government voting has been quiet and void of any negative incidents so far. And this was as at the 12:30 p.m. today. And then there's a snippet of a 71-year-old woman who was among the first to cast a ballot at the Yallas Primary School in St. Thomas. She said the filthy state of her community is what nudged her to vote. And there are other stories that the journalists at the Gleaner have been pursuing and playing their part in contributing to the overall coverage of the local government elections by the RGR Gleaner Communications Group. And we'll see how it will all pan out as we continue to monitor And normally we would have updates from the journalists. As the program progresses, you would get an update here and there, now and then. That would be good. But we'll see how it all unfolds. Good afternoon to those of you listening to us on 106.1, 106.3, 106.5, 106.7, and 106.9. From Morant Point to Negril Point, from the Goat Islands to Galena Point. This is Power 106 FM, serving Jamaica and the diaspora. Hello to those tuned in via the Power 106 FM app, which you have downloaded from the App Store or the Google Play Store, depending on the nature of your device. Downloading is free, listening is free, wherever, whenever. We say good afternoon to Jessica. She says, good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. May the Lord be your guide and strength. Have a great week. Same to you, Jessica. Velta Wilson says, good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm and listeners. Good afternoon, Velta Wilson. Valerie Weller-Carr Peck says, blessed afternoon, everyone. To you too, Valerie Weller-Carr Peck. And keep those comments coming in and those messages. Remember the text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. Also, coming up at 2:30, Land Solutions, the program where all your land-related matters are dealt with. So get ready for that as well. Land Solutions with the team from the law firm Brown, Findlay and Company. That's coming up in a few minutes. In the meantime, how have you been? How are things in your community, in your neck of the woods? What have you been noticing? What have you been seeing? What are the emotions running through your veins at this time? And how do you feel about how things have gone so far or are going so far? Feel free to share with us, 876-365-3346. We'll be happy to read those messages of yours, 876-365-3346. The regular numbers to call, 876-922-4112-5, 876-922-4112-5. Looking forward to your participation. Natalie Winter has joined us. She says, hey, Dervan, watching from Washington Gardens, Kingston 20. Good to have you on board as usual, Natalie Winter. Thank you very much for making it both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. Still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Overcast conditions. And the work continues as far as the local government elections are concerned. And coverage will run straight into tonight and until some kind of closure or just general wrap up of the coverage occurs later on. We'll see if it will be that easy or whether it will take a longer time and whether any of these elections will be close in any respect, and we'll see how it will all unfold. Nobody knows. And so until then, we continue to follow the information that is coming from the news department. So the other stories that we've picked up on are one about some Trelawney residents switching political sides after alleged diss from JLP councillor. Manchester Northeastern running smoothly. Voter turnout at 11.12%. This was posted 43 minutes ago. The PNP's Oliver Reed expresses concern about handling of ballots, and St. Thomas taxi operators cashing in. These are just some of the stories trending according to the Gleaner's online publication, jamaica-gleaner.com. And we still want to hear what's happening in your neck of the woods. So feel free to share with us. The lines are open, 876-922-4112-5. And of course, we would never, ever ask you about who you voted for. That's not something that is done in this field. And so we want to bear in mind these pointers. Firebrand is one of our listeners saying, hi, Dervan, watching from the British Virgin Islands. Good of you to join us. Firebrand from the British Virgin Islands. Thank you very much for making it both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. Would be instructive to find out if you have joined us as you normally would, or whether it's a case of wanting to follow how the elections are going, the local government elections are going here in Jamaica. And we have managed just to flash a few of the headlines for you, but reflecting on the general flow of information, it's mostly peaceful, calm, and free-flowing so far. Faye Weller says, blessed afternoon, Mr. Dervan and faithful listeners. I'm here listening and learning. Thank you, Faye Weller, for being a part of the program. Thank you for joining us on the day when some portion of our population turns out to vote, and people are watching the numbers as well in terms of the turnout, because of the general practice when it comes to local government elections of some people not being interested enough to participate fully. So all these and other issues, other conversations taking place all over Jamaica, and there are those who couldn't care less, just as there are those who are keen to find out what's happening, what's going to happen, how will things unfold, and pose their questions accordingly, as well as share their experiences. But as we reminded you, we have Land Solutions coming up in a couple of minutes. And so you can give some thought to your ideas, your issues, your concerns. Maybe jot them down if you're able to, and feel free to share the information a little later on. And Firebrand says, I follow you. I'm Jamaican. Watch you sometimes, but today it's a must, says Firebrand. Obviously, because today is local government election day. So we're coming up to the break, after which we will pause for today's edition of Land Solutions, and then we come back with much more on your program, both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. And for those who wish to ask questions in relation to land matters, 876-922-4112-5. In fact, 876-922-4113-5. And you'll hear more after the break.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:30.
Buy a bag of hydro feeds and win a bag of cash in the farm to fortune promotion. Buy hydro, watch your pocket grow. Watch it grow with hydro. Farm to fortune, that's the way to go. Win millions and credit for your phone. When you buy your feed from hydro. When you buy your feed from hydro. Hydro is giving away millions in the farm to fortune promotion. Buy any qualifying hydro feed and text the entry code in the bag for your chance to win. Enter today. Conditions apply. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting Gaming and Lotteries Act.
It continues to be all smiles at Wellington Dental. We offer dental care for the entire family, including cleaning, filling, whitening, and other dental services. There's wheelchair access and an exciting play area for the children. Wellington Dental, 57 Wellington Street, Spanish Town. Telephone 876-984-5482 or 876-749-3515.
RJR Gleaner Group. It's a cross-country invasion.
The RJR Gleaner Communications Group Cross Country Invasion celebrates 20 years in 2024. And we are rolling out with the power of 12 plus across the island on Friday, March 1. We kick things off at 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. at the Cecil Charlton Park Mandeville with TVJ Smile Jamaica and your favorite morning radio shows. In the afternoon, we take over Emancipation Park from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. with your favorite drive time radio shows and TVJ's Daytime Live. At 6 p.m., we intensify the excitement with a special performance show. Then we wrap things up in Port Moore at Kent's Wildflower from 9 p.m. to midnight, powered by Hits 92 FM, Fame 95 FM, and RETV.
It's a cross-country invasion. It's a cross-country invasion.
It's a Monday afternoon, just after 2:30, and that means time for Land Solutions. Land Solutions, the program where all your land-related matters are dealt with. Anything at all to do with the sale or purchase of land, you've come to the right place. Here are the numbers to call. 876. Well, if you want to get in touch with the law firm, it's 876-908-1950 or 876-908-3518. The website is landsolutionsja.com, landsolutionsja.com. The email address is gloria@landsolutionsja.com, gloria@landsolutionsja.com. The law firm Brown, Findlay and Company is headquartered in Suite 39 of the Winchester Business Center, corner of Winchester Road and Hope Road in Halfway Tree, St. Andrew. They also have an office at Shop 6 upstairs, the Jamaica National Building in Ocho Rios, St. Anne. And there's a text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876 882 5254. 876 882 5254. Let's say hello, good afternoon, and welcome to your host on Land Solutions this afternoon, Attorney at Law, Calicia Findlay.
Good afternoon, Dervan. Good afternoon, listeners. Thank you for tuning in to today's edition of Land Solutions. As Dervan just said, I'm Calicia Findlay, and I'll be your host for today. And just a minor correction, Dervan. The text and WhatsApp number for today is 881-5254. Again, that's 876-881-5254. And as always, to speak to us live on air, those numbers are 876-922-411325. Let me jump right into our WhatsApp messages. As always, feel free to call in with any questions, issues you have with respect to land and estate. Johnson wants to know how he can go about retrieving a lost title. When your title has been lost, you need to replace it. You can't just get a photocopy. Many people think that once you have a photocopy, that's all you need. No, you have to do a lost title application. And that's a formal application made directly to the Titles Office, the National Land Agency. It is submitted, it is processed, and it goes through various stages. It's initially processed. Once the application has been approved, the notice of the lost title has to be published in newspapers locally. If the title was lost overseas, the advertisements have to be published in overseas newspapers. So it is an involved process, and we certainly think it's best to get an attorney to make a lost title application for you. The process does take some time. It can take about 2 to 3 months. Even after the application has been approved, after it's advertised, we still have to wait 2 weeks to see if anybody places an objection. Once there are no objections, we do a resubmission to the Titles Office, and then it takes the Titles Office a couple of weeks to prepare the new title. Now, once the new title has been prepared, your old title is automatically cancelled. So let us say you have a particular volume and folio numbers on your old title. Those are no longer valid. You get new numbers, a whole new title. And that is the only way you can retrieve, quote unquote, retrieve a lost title. I've had persons ask me, well, why do I need to do a lost title application if I'm selling the property? I mean, that's what the law says. And also, too, because a title is a security document, you have to have that document, that instrument, to note a new transaction on. So you must always have a title. So if your title has been lost, you need to do a lost title application. If it was destroyed in a fire, you have to have a fire report to accompany that application. If you suspect it was stolen, you have to have a police report to accompany that application. For those of you who are unable to locate your title, do a thorough search, because when you're making the application, we have to state exactly what you think has happened to the title. We have to be very specific about where it was kept, who had access to it. I mean, we can't just say it was kept at home at 15 Hope Road. We have to say where exactly in the house at 15 Hope Road. So don't wait until you need your title to locate it, because you know how it is. When you don't need something, you can find it. But when you absolutely need something, that's when you can't locate it. So look for your titles now. If you can't find them, you think they have been lost, start the lost title applications now, because they take a long time. Let me continue with our messages. Can a will cancel a power of attorney? You know, we frequently get questions concerning wills and powers of attorney. Sometimes I feel like I probably need to do an entire program just on wills and powers of attorney. So, can a will cancel a power of attorney? There's separate documents. So it's not really that a will. Power of attorney is only valid during someone's lifetime. So if John gives Mary power of attorney to handle his affairs, as soon as John dies, the power of attorney ceases to exist. So whether John had made a will or not, once John has died, his power of attorney ceases. If John has a will, of course, the will will come into effect when he dies. So please try not to conflate, try not to mix up the two. Don't think that because you have a power of attorney, you don't need a will, or because you have a will, you don't need a power of attorney. They're separate purposes. Power of attorney while you're alive. As soon as you die, the power of attorney ends. The will comes into effect after you die. So please, if you have one, don't think that it covers everything. If possible, do both. Do a power of attorney and do a will. Let me jump over to Facebook, and that's facebook.com/Land Solutions. Is it legal for someone to apply for a death certificate without the executor's knowledge? I'm an executor of an estate, and one of the beneficiaries went behind my back to apply for a death certificate at the RGB. It is very legal for anyone to apply for a death certificate, particularly in Jamaica. Death certificate, marriage certificate, birth certificate. These are actually public documents. You don't have to show, let's say, that you're an executor or you're a relative to be able to apply for a death certificate or any other type of certificate, as I mentioned previously. I know in some countries, particularly some states in the US, you have to show that you are a relative of the person before you can apply, for example, for a death certificate, but not in Jamaica. I mean, we apply for certificates for our clients all the time, you know. Relatives, friends, interested parties can apply at the RGD for these certificates. So there really is nothing wrong with the beneficiary applying for a death certificate. What I would venture to ask is, why is this an issue for you? Do you already have a death certificate of the deceased? You know, if not, why not? Have you taken steps to commence wrapping up the estate? That would be good to know. And just also to say, when someone dies and you're applying for a death certificate, apply for several copies, 5 or even 10. And you know, it may sound extreme or excessive, but what we find is that when you're wrapping up an estate, invariably the institutions, the court, the stamp office, the tax office, some beneficiaries, you know, the banks, they're all going to want an original or a certified copy of a death certificate. And when I say a certified copy, I mean an original. It means the copy issued directly from the RGB. So it doesn't make sense to apply for one and then in another couple of weeks or months you apply for another one, then another one. Just apply for maybe 5 or 10, if you can afford it, of course. Apply for as many as possible right away, because different institutions are going to require them. Trust me, it can be a frustrating process, even for us as attorneys sometimes. A couple years ago, we would just need one original death certificate for an estate, and we could use that one death certificate at the different agencies, you know, court, stamp office, titles office. But now what we find is that the different agencies, once we submit the death certificates to them, they're not returning them. They're holding on to them. So many times we ourselves have to apply for 3 or 4 death certificates so we can have originals for each agency. Mary wants to know, and this is a text message, how it's possible. And thanks, Mary, for always tuning in. She wants to know how it's possible for a bank to sell your house without your permission. Mary, what can I say? Well, it is in the law, the Registration of Titles Act, that deals with among other things, mortgages, and the rights and powers of mortgage institutions to sell your property. And it basically says once you have taken a loan from an institution, if you default, they do have the power to sell your property. In fact, even in the loan document or the mortgage document that you sign, that is stated specifically in that document. So they don't need your permission. They have that inherent power. What I will say is that loan institutions generally don't just get up and decide to sell your property arbitrarily. They usually do that as a last resort. If say you have defaulted on the loan, you're late with your payments, they've written you, they've sent you notices, they've done publications, and they only resort to selling your house, or also refer to as foreclosure, as a last resort. So yes, they will need your permission, but it's not something they're just going to get up and do. So please, if you see yourself running into problems with your mortgage payments, I encourage you to go into your bank, go into your financial institution, and see what arrangements you can work out. Or if you even need to try to sell the property before it gets to that stage. It would be good if you could send me a follow-up message, let me know what has happened in your case. But sorry to hear, but yes, they can go ahead and sell your property if you've defaulted. This is Land Solutions.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:45.
Ulcer Shield is an all-natural herbal product that will fight internal ulcers, acid reflux, leaky gut, irritable bowel syndrome, and bacterial overload. Put 1 teaspoon of Ulcer Shield daily in your favorite juice or tea and watch the improvement in the health of your gut. Get your Ulcer Shield today at Hapco Herbs and Extracts. Call 876-540-8871. That's 876-540-8871.
Your taxes hold the key. Let's get digital. Get online this March 15. File and pay your final income tax return for 2023 and estimated return for 2024. There are so many options. JamaicaTax.gov.jm. Direct funds transfer, NCB online banking, and Scotia online and mobile app. Pay your taxes the digital way. All returns must be filed online and on time. Tax Administration Jamaica, changing the way we do business.
You're listening to both sides of the story on Power 106 FM. More precisely, you're listening to today's edition of Land Solutions during both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. Land Solutions, the program where all your land-related matters are dealt with. Anything at all to do with the sale or purchase of land, you've come to the right place. Here are the numbers to call: 876-922-4113-5. 876-922-4113-5. The text line, same as the WhatsApp number for Land Solutions. That's 876-881-5254. 876-881-5254. The law firm Brown, Findlay and Company is headquartered in Suite 39 of the Winchester Business Center, corner of Winchester Road and Hope Road in Halfway Tree, St. Andrew. They also have an office at Shop 6 upstairs, the Jamaica National Building in Ocho Rios, St. Anne. All are encouraged to call ahead before turning up at the law firm Brown, Findlay and Company. Those numbers to call: 876-908-1950 or 876-908-3518. Once again, let's hand you over to Attorney at Law, Calicia Findlay.
Thank you, Dervan. I have a two-part question coming in on Facebook. Can you make changes to a will after it has been written? And can an executor make changes to a person's wishes after they have died? All right. Can you make changes to a will after it has been written? Once you have signed your will, once you have written your will, signed it, and it has
been witnessed, there is some room to make amendments. We have certain rules governing crossing out and initialing, but I would say, especially where you are not using an attorney, out of an abundance of caution, if you want to make a change to your will after you have written it, just do a whole new will. It can cause a lot of confusion when we see amendments or crossings out on the will. So it's best to do a whole new will. And you don't want to be in a situation where you have amendments to the will and then the court rules that the amendments weren't properly done, so those have to be ignored. There's also an option of what we call a codicil. This is where someone essentially does an addition or a separate document, and it is to be read together with the previous will. Sometimes if someone is elderly or they don't have the time or the ability to do over a whole new will, they just want to make a quick addition, they do that separate document. But I think personally though, it is always safer to just do an entirely new will if possible. Second part of the question, can an executor make changes to a person's wishes after they have died? The technical answer to that is no. An executor cannot make changes to a person's wishes. So let us say John in his will says he wants his house to go to Mary. The executor can't now say, you know what, I don't want Mary to get the house, I'm going to give it to Susan instead. So technically, no, the executor can't change the wishes. However, as many of us will know, the executor has far-reaching power. So if John wants his house to go to Mary, but the executor doesn't have enough money in the estate to pay himself or the legal fees or the government, instead of Mary getting that house, the executor can decide that, all right, I don't have any other choice, I have to sell it so I can get some funds into the estate. In that case, it's not that the executor is changing someone's wishes, but they just have to act in a way where they can satisfy legal fees, estate duties, and work towards winding up the estate. For persons who are planning their estate, we always say, consider life insurance policies. Those funds are readily available. You don't have to wait until probate has been granted for your beneficiaries to access those funds. And make sure you have enough assets set aside. Make sure you have assets set aside to deal with the winding up of your estate. So let us say you need to pay your executors will need to pay your legal fees for your estate. Have a discussion with the executors. Is there money available in an account with someone else's name for those funds to be readily accessed? Because it's all well and good to will your house to Susan, but what if there's no money to pay the lawyers, to pay the government? What's going to happen? And again, our numbers to call in live on air, 876-922-41135. The text and WhatsApp number, 876-881-5254. That's an interesting question coming in. Is it legal to sell property to a relative for $1? Can the authorities prevent this? It is legal to sell your property for any amount, whether it is below the market value or above the market value, way below or way above the market value. As I tell persons all the time, excuse me, as long as you find a willing buyer, you can go ahead and sell it for whatever. And, persons, whatever reasons, estate planning, maybe just wanting to give a gift to a relative, for whatever reason, they can decide how much they want to sell a property for, even if it's for $1. So yes, the government will not tell you, no, this property is worth $5 million, this property is worth $10 million. We absolutely prohibit you from selling it for $1. They won't say that. But, and I know you hear the buzz coming, what they will say is that we think this property is worth more than $1. So yes, you can sell it for $1, but we are going to charge you transfer tax based on what we think the market value is. So if you're selling your $10 million property to your cousin for $1, the government is going to charge you transfer tax as if you were selling it for $10 million. So they won't stop it, but they do have far-ranging powers when it comes to the assessment of the transfer tax. And again, transfer tax is 2%. 2% of what the government, in this case, what the government thinks the property is valued at. Stamp duty is nominal when you're selling property is $5,000, split equally between the parties. And if it's a gift, stamp duty is just $100. If you will your house to your husband, then get a divorce afterwards, do you have to redo your will, or does the divorce automatically cancel the gift in the will? Interesting question. And does the divorce automatically change your name back to your maiden name? All right. If you will your house to your husband, then get a divorce afterwards. Do you have to redo your will, or does the divorce automatically cancel the gift in the will? The divorce absolutely does not cancel the gift in the will. So let me break this down. Mary and John were married. Mary willed her house to John. After Mary wrote her will, she and John got a divorce. Mary's will is still valid. So if Mary no longer wants John to get what she willed to him, and I suspect she may not, since they would know the divorce, Mary has to do a new will, because the divorce does not change the will. And I can understand and appreciate this question, because some of you may know marriage revokes a will. If you make a will, then you get married, the marriage automatically cancels the will. But unfortunately, I will say that's not the case with a divorce. A divorce does not automatically cancel. After you get divorced, or even before, when you're contemplating it, or you see that the relationship has broken down or is breaking down, it's the time to redo your will. The second part of the question, does a divorce automatically change your name back to your maiden name? No, actually. In fact, I know in some countries, when the judges are making the divorce orders, with respect to property, children, maintenance, etc., one order that's usually made is that if the woman wants it, is that her maiden name is automatically restored. That is absolutely not the case in Jamaica. If you change your name, your surname to your husband's name on marriage, it stays that way for life, even after you get a divorce. If you want to change your name back to your maiden name after you get a divorce, you have to do a deed poll. That's the only way to change your name back. In Jamaica, and some people are going to say this is unfortunate, but in Jamaica, a divorce does not automatically change your name back to your maiden name. And interestingly, I find nowadays, especially for younger persons, when they are getting married, the women, they just don't even bother to change their surname again. They keep their maiden name. It's a personal choice. Whether you keep your maiden name or not, it doesn't mean that you are any less married. You're still married, but sometimes it's easier, because when you change your name, you have to change it on all your official documents, your PRN, your driver's license, maybe your titles, insurance documents. etc. So I can see why some persons would opt not to change their surname, and especially too if you know that down the road you may end up getting a divorce. To know that then you would have to go and change your name again by a deed poll, an official process known as a deed poll, then I can see why some persons would rather not change their name. Remember also too, when it comes to your title, you don't have to put your married name on your title. So let's just say Mary owned the property with John before they got married. They subsequently got married. Mary has the option of noting her marriage on the title. Again, that's a personal decision. It doesn't mean that your ownership or your marriage is any less or more valid, whether your married name is not on the title. I remember someone was saying to me one time that because her maiden name is still on the title, it cannot qualify as matrimonial home. Whether your name is on the title, whether it's a maiden name or your married name, it can still qualify as your matrimonial home. The surname doesn't matter. So those are just things to consider when you're thinking about owning property with your spouse. This is Land Solutions.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3 o'clock. Mosquitoes will breed in containers that hold water. Tightly cover water storage containers such as drums, buckets, and tanks, or cover the water surface with cooking oil. Punch holes in all tins, plastic containers, and boxes to prevent the collection of water before disposal. Cover old tires or fill with dirt. Scrub all vases once per week to remove mosquito eggs and dispose of garbage by placing in plastic bags. Do your part to prevent mosquito breeding.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
The Jamaica Teaching Council regulates and professionalizes the teaching profession in Jamaica, leading to beneficial education outcomes for all learners. All teachers working in public schools must be registered with the Ministry of Education through the Jamaica Teaching Council. Call 876-922-8019 or visit jtc.gov.gm to become registered. Follow the Jamaica Teaching Council on social media for the latest updates and empowerment sessions for teachers. The Jamaica Teaching Council, Teachers for Development, Development for Teachers.
You're listening to Land Solutions during both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM and taking your calls on 876-922-4113 to 5. 876-922-4113 to 5. The text line, same as the WhatsApp number for Land Solutions, 876-881-5254. 876-881-5254. The law firm Brown, Findlay and Company is headquartered in Suite 39 of the Winchester Business Center, corner of Winchester Road and Hope Road in St. Andrew. We're encouraged to call ahead before turning up at the law offices of Brown, Findlay and Company. And as we said, they have their office at Suite 39 of the Winchester Business Center, corner of Winchester Road and Hope Road. And in Ocho Rios, it's Shop 6 upstairs, the Jamaica National Building in Ocho Rios, St. Anne. And we look forward to your participation as usual. So let's hand you over to Calicia Findlay once again.
Thank you, Dervan. And just a reminder, for those of you who would like to speak live on air, the numbers are 876-922-4113-5. Those are the only numbers to speak live on air now. 876-881-5254, solely for text and WhatsApp messages. Let me jump over to WhatsApp. Ms. Findlay, please explain what exactly should happen and the process after someone dies with a will, especially how long after the death should the will be read. All right. There are no set rules as to what exactly should happen and how they should happen or the order that they should happen. But I'll tell you generally what happens. And to answer the last part of your question first, there is no time period as to when a will should be read. I think I've addressed this before. Many persons believe that there should be a formal meeting and the executor should read from start to finish the will in front of all the beneficiaries. If that is what the executors choose to do, lovely. That's perfect. It doesn't mean, though, that if they don't follow that exact process, that they're somehow not acting within the scope of their duties. The executor can simply send a copy of the will to the beneficiaries. The will itself doesn't have to be read out. I know some people think that it has to be done at the grave, before the burial, or right after the burial. No, not at all. But the executor does have a duty to share what is in the will with the beneficiaries, because the executor acts on behalf of the estate, they act for and on behalf of the beneficiaries. So after someone dies, I think out of respect, I know for me personally, we generally don't do anything until at least after they have been buried. So you see to it that the person has been buried, you obtain the death certificate, and then my advice would be to come into an attorney for a consultation with the will and the death certificate. The executors and or the attorneys can consult, or I should say contact the beneficiaries so they know that there is a will and this has been left for them. It is the executors, because remember, it's the executors who have been placed or left in charge of the estate. It is their responsibility to ensure that the will is probated. It is their responsibility to secure the assets and to take care of the properties. If there's rent to be collected, they need to collect the rent. If there are any debts owed, they need to ensure that those are taken care of. So the executor needs to assume their duties on day one, even before probate has been applied for. So they do that. They through their attorneys, make the application for probate. That takes a couple months, a two-part application, three parts, I should say, between the court, the stamp office, and the titles office. So generally speaking, that is the process. Executors notify the beneficiaries, executors meet and retain an attorney, and they apply for probate. Again, there's no long formal process of the will being read out. There's no time period, of course. The sooner the better. You have some people who believe that it has to be done within a year, or I've even heard persons say you have to wait until after a year before you start anything. It can be done before, it can be done after. I believe the sooner the better. The longer you wait, you have more estate duties. The thing in Jamaica is getting cheaper, so it's possible. Start the process as soon as possible. Someone wants to know who should pay for a surveyor's report. Again, no hard and fast rule. Anyone can pay for a surveyor's report. It can be the purchaser or it can be the seller. Generally speaking, though, it is the purchaser who usually pays for the surveyor's ID report, because they're the ones who are buying the property, they're the ones spending the money on the property. And you think about it, it's common sense, really. If you're buying something, you want to ensure that you're getting value for your money. You want to ensure that you are getting the property as described. So I could see where the onus is a bit more on the purchaser to pay for the surveyor's ID report. But again, if the seller says, hey, I will pay for the ID report, or I already have a surveyor's ID report, would you like to use mine? There really is no issue with that. But again, depending on the nature of the relationship, I always think it is better to be above board and to pay for your own surveyor's identification report to avoid any conflicts of interest. If you're getting a mortgage, certainly the banks require that the purchaser obtain surveyor's report, valuation report, and maybe structural engineer's report. So in that case, we'll say, as a purchaser, you have to go ahead and do that. My father had 15 children. 15 children. Can all of us go on the title? How do we determine which one of us will be in charge? Yes, all 15 of you can go on the title. There is no maximum number of persons that can go on a title. So not an issue there. Second part of your question though, how do we determine which one of us would be in charge? You don't. You don't. Once all of you are on the title, you all have the same rights, especially if you all own it as joint tenants or if you all own it as tenants in common in equal shares. To this day, some people still believe that the eldest child or the eldest male would be in charge. No, all of you would have an equal say. So yes, there's no limit. I would venture to say, for persons when planning their estate, if you have a large family like this one, sometimes you have to, and I remember someone actually having a discussion, a client coming in for a consultation with me about this, as to how practical this is. So yes, of course, you can have 15, 20, 30 people on a title, but how practical will this be? I mean, this is Jamaica. We know who we are with our families and land. It's all well and good to will it to your 15 children, but can all 15 children live in peace? Are they all going to agree? Are they all going to say, yes, we only want to do this particular thing with the land? I mean, I can guarantee that if there are 15 people on the title, there might be at least 30 opinions on what should be done with the property. So, yes, 15 people can go on the title, but how feasible will it be? Will they all be able to live in harmony? So those are all things that need to be considered. I think for the client who has come in and we had that discussion, I think what they decided to do was that after they died, they directed that the property should be sold and then that the proceeds should then be divided amongst their children. Based on their family dynamics, that was the better option. And listen, it doesn't apply to everybody. Maybe your family could be lucky and all 15 persons would be in agreement. But in this case, they decided to sell the property and then have the proceeds be divided equally. As I said this, I recall to remember when you're making your will, yes, you can say, you can direct in your will that the property should be sold and the proceeds divided amongst whoever. However, on the other hand, you cannot, or I should say you should not say that you direct that the property cannot be sold. That is against the law. Yes, you can say that property should be sold, but you cannot say that property should not be sold. It is against the law. So all well and good to say that, but your executors can ignore that and they can go ahead and sell the property. And I understand why persons wish, that property shouldn't be sold. They want it to stay in their family. They want their generations down the line to benefit, but there are ways of getting around that. You could add names while you are alive. You could maybe create trust, go to persons as tenants in common. But if you say that it shouldn't be sold, that is unenforceable. An executor can ignore that, and then there's nothing. The executor won't get in trouble for doing that. But still, I'm so frustrated. I've been waiting on a probate for over a year. Any suggestion on how to speed this up? I am going to assume that you would have checked with the court. There has to be something outstanding. Probates nowadays, the process is easier. It's more efficient. Maybe 6 months once everything is in order. So do you have an attorney? Have your attorney checked? Have you checked yourself at the court? Is there anything outstanding? Sometimes the court may want more information. Maybe they'll want a correction to something that has been filed already. Check, please, to see if there are any what we call requisitions. That's where the court asks for additional information or if they have any questions. Because other than that, I don't see why it should be taking so long. There has to be something outstanding. In terms of speeding up the process, there's not much that can be done. You could file a new an affidavit of urgency, but if something is outstanding, that won't speed up the process. You just have to double check to make sure again that there's nothing outstanding. For those of you who would like to speak with us in the office, the office numbers are 876-908-3518 and 876-908-1950. You may also call our offices in Ocherville at 876-974-6083. Again, that's 876-974-6083. This is Lab Solutions.
You're listening to Pearl 106 FM. The time is now
3:15.
Hi, how can we help?
Violence does not need to be a part of your story. You do not deserve to suffer in silence. You deserve care, protection, help. Let's put gender-based violence in the spotlight. Contact 876-553-0372 for counseling, domestic violence intervention resources, confidential shelter, and more.
A message from the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment, and Sport in collaboration with EU-UN Spotlight Initiative.
It is the final segment of Land Solutions for this afternoon. Don't miss the opportunity to get in questions you've been waiting to ask and clarification you've been seeking. Now would be a good time. 876-922-4113-5. 876-922-4113-5. The text line, same as the WhatsApp number, which means you can send your text messages and your WhatsApp messages. The text line and the WhatsApp number are one and the same, 876-881-5254. 876-881-5254. The law firm Brown, Findlay and Company is headquartered in Suite 39 of the Winchester Business Center, corner of Winchester Road and Hope Road in Halfway Tree, St. Andrew. They also have an office at Shop 6 upstairs, the Jamaica National Building in Ocho Rios, St. Anne. And they encourage us to call ahead before turning up at the offices of the law firm Brown, Findlay and Company. The numbers to call 876-908-1950 and 876-908-3518. Once again, here's your host on today's edition of Land Solutions, attorney at law, Calicia Findlay.
Thank you, Dervan. Could they have bought a piece of land from a man whose mother died leaving the land? He has the title for the land, however, he doesn't have the property in his name. And now I want my documents. How can I proceed? All right. Has it been, how long ago did you buy? Are you in possession? If it's been for more than 12 years, you could attempt to make a direct application for the title. If not, this person would need to either probate his mother's will or administer her estate. And then once that has been done, they can get title transferred in their name and then have it transferred over to you. You can do the formal process of the sale. So send me a follow-up message letting me know how long you've had the land and how long ago his mother died. I paid a deposit to someone and later found out he sold the land to someone else. I just want my money back. I don't care about the land anymore. What can I do? You can sue the person. First, I think you can try to sue them. I'm not sure how long ago you would have paid the deposit. Generally, in law, if you wait more than 6 years, the law says that the time would have run, meaning it should have been statute barred. You're out of time. You would be out of time if 6 years have passed. Hopefully, that is not the case. So within that time, you can sue them. If for any reason you change your mind and you decide you still want the land, you could you so that you can store the land to someone else. Yeah, try suing them and send me a follow-up message letting me know, please, how long ago you paid the deposit. Is it possible to get mortgage approval before signing a sale agreement? I would want to ensure I don't lose my deposit or face any penalties if I am unable to complete a purchase. Very good question. You cannot get full mortgage approval, but you can get pre-approval. That's like halfway approval. So mortgage or complete or full mortgage approval can only be considered after a sale agreement has been signed and the deposit has been paid and you submit your income information, surveyor's ID report, valuation report, etc. to your loan officer. Only then can you get full mortgage approval. However, before you start the process, you can get a pre-approval. So you go to the mortgage institution, you submit your employment information, your particulars, and they give you what we refer to as eligibility or a pre-approval letter stating that you are qualified for X amount. This will be your monthly mortgage payment, and those letters will specifically say this is not a mortgage approval. This is basically just an idea of what we will lend you once we receive your formal application. So I understand not wanting to lose your deposit. So you can't get the full approval before, but at least when you have your pre-approval, it will give you an idea of what you can afford so you don't go in over your head. So once you have your pre-approval and it says that you are qualified to borrow 10 million, I'm sure you'll say, all right, I have this. Let me look for a property within this range, $10, $11 million, and not look for something that's $15 or $20 million. I hope that helps. And this is actually a very good question, and I appreciate it because I've seen a couple instances where persons really just went in over their heads. So they saw a property, they loved it, $20 million. They knew that they had a deposit. They started the process and then they realized they couldn't finalize it. And then that's when they would come into us to see if we could possibly rescue them. And in some cases, yes, we were able to negotiate and buy them more time so they could keep funding. But in some cases, the vendors were strict and they were adamant and said, no, the time has passed. Not only am I canceling, but I'm taking your deposit. So please seek legal advice and ensure you get your pre-approval. Can you go to the titles office and search to see who owns land in a particular area? Titles are public documents, so you can go and request copies of titles. So let us say you want to see who is the owner of 10 Brown Lane. You can go to the titles office, pay $1,000 and get a copy of the title for 10 Brown Lane, and it will show you who is the owner. But you can't go into the titles office and say, open up all the records, I want to see all the owners or every property on Hope Road. And you certainly can't go in and say, I want to see all the properties owned by John Brown. You can't do name searches. So you can only search by address, valuation numbers, and volume and folio numbers. So if you happen to search for 10 titles that happen to be on Brown Lane, then I suppose, yes, you'll be able to see who the owners are. But again, you can't do general name searches. You can just search by address, valuation numbers, and volume and folio numbers. I see all the WhatsApp messages rolling in. Let me try my best. What's involved in adding two grown children to a title that have two parents that are tenants in common? The new title will be joint tenants for all four. So the two parents who own, so let's say mother and father as tenants in common, they would do a transfer. The mother and father's tenants in common would transfer to mother, father, child 1, and child 2 as joint tenants. So we would do what's called a transfer of interest. Two people as tenants in common, transferring their interest to 4 people, including themselves, as joint tenants. So you'd have to pay transfer tax and legal fees, of course. The entire process would take about 2 to 3 months. It's first, all the documents are prepared, submitted to the stamp office for the assessment of transfer tax. Once that has been completed and the duties paid, it's then off to the last lap at the titles office for the names and the new tenancy to be noted on the title. If there is an existing mortgage on the title, of course, we would have to get the consent of the mortgage company, meaning the mortgage company would have to sign a document referred to as the consent of mortgagee before all of that can take place. Process is a little faster when there is no mortgage. If one wishes to will one's children their property, can they name as let me go again. If one wishes to will one's children their property, can they name them as executors of the will? Yes, they most certainly can. In fact, even if you didn't want to will them, the property, you could still name them as executors. But we actually prefer and we advise that if you trust your beneficiaries, if you have that confidence in them, it's good to name your beneficiaries as your executors. And there's absolutely no issues with that. The main reason too is it's convenient, and we realize that once the executors realize that they are beneficiaries, meaning they realize they're getting something under the will, you'll see how efficient they are. They're quick to act. They do everything as soon as possible because they have an interest in starting out the estate. When executors realize, in some cases, not all, because we have some diligent executors. So what I see happening sometimes, that executors, once they realize they're not beneficiaries, they do things in their own sweet time. But yes, you can certainly have your beneficiaries be your executors. Let me see if I can get to another quick one. What should someone do when they don't have a title and there's nobody to say they know about the land? There really is nothing that you can do, because if we are making an application for a title, one of the requirements, and it's not something you can get around, is that you must have at least 2 persons who can speak to the history of the property. There's absolutely no way around that. If a title had been previously issued in that property or using someone's name, we can use the history from that title. But again, if you can't find anybody who can confirm the history, who will say, yes, I knew the property in 1990 or 1970 when it was owned by Miss Berry, and in 1980 she sold it to Mr. Tom, and Mr. Tom owned it from 1980 to 2000, etc., etc. If we can't find 2 persons who will confirm that, then there really is nothing that can be done. So if you are contemplating applying for a title, start doing your homework from now. because it doesn't make sense you come into us with the proof of payment of property taxes, your nice brand new survey diagram, but then you can't tell us the history of the property. And I've seen that already, and sad because we don't doubt the person's the person's genuineness. We don't doubt what they're saying, but our hands are tied. If we don't have the declarant to say yes, this is what has been happening to the land for the past 30 to 40 years, then we can't submit an application. So see what you can do. Start gathering your evidence. There is nothing too insignificant. You may think, oh, this is a little old receipt. We have paid a construction worker for some blocks or a hardware store for this or that. Sometimes it's those little things that make a difference when you're trying to apply for a title. So hold on to your records, have the names of your declarants, your witnesses, and that they don't have to sign up, they don't have to write anything. You prepare the documentation for them to sign. So start gathering your evidence, do your surveys. If your surveys are over 7 years old, get a declaration to bring them up to date. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's edition of Land Solutions. I'll try my best to respond to all the messages coming in. And as always, thanks to Dervan and the entire team of Power 106. Take care, everyone.
Help us protect Jamaica's borders. Tell us about any illegal guns coming through customs-controlled areas. Call Crime Stop at 311. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is 3:30.
RJR, Gleaner Group.
It's a cross-country invasion.
The RJR Gleaner Communications Group Cross Country Invasion celebrates 20 years in 2024. And we are rolling out with a power of 12 plus across the island on Friday, March 1. We kick things off at 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. at the Cecil Charlton Park Mandeville with TVJ Small Jamaica and your favorite morning radio shows. In the afternoon, we take over Emancipation Park from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. with your favorite drive time radio shows and TVJ's Daytime Live. At 6 p.m., we intensify the excitement with a special performance show. Then we wrap things up in Port Moore at Kent's Wildflower from 9 p.m. to midnight, powered by Hits 92 FM, Fame 95 FM, and RETV.
It's a cross-country invasion. It's a cross-country invasion.
Tune in to Power 106 FM for a special simulcast of the RJR Gleaner Communications Group Election Day Results Show today from 5:30 to 9 p.m. Which party will take control of the country's municipal corporations? Which councillors will emerge victorious when the dust settles? And what of the mayoral race in Port Moore? Tune in for the results and the analysis on the special simulcast of the RJR Gleaner Communications Group's Election Day Results Show today from 5:30 to 9 p.m. right here on Power 106 FM.
I pledge my heart is silent as God has patiently. My word, my strength, my love, as my loyalty to give. Oh, we are not the Indies, now make us strong and free. All vows and loyal promises, all promises to thee. I pledge my heart is silent as God.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. And it's time to hear from you, taking your calls, reading your messages, and sharing information on this local government election day 2024. And so we're taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5. 876-922-4112-5. The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number, which means you can not only send us your text messages, your WhatsApp messages, your voice notes, but you can call us on WhatsApp as well, 876-365-3346. 876-365-3346. So let's take a look at our text line, same as the WhatsApp number, even as we look forward to taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5. Here's a message from H. Morgan in Birmingham, England. He says, "Hi, Dervan. What is Miss Findlay's WhatsApp number? I would like to ask a question before she finishes." Well, that broadcast just ended. So what we could do is we can forward your information to H. Morgan in Birmingham. Let's see if we can do that here. Birmingham. Share. And we're going to send it to H. Morgan in Birmingham. And now we need to send the text line, same as the WhatsApp number, from the team at Brown, Findlay and Company. So we need to bring up that information. Did we miss? Hold on. Right. So we'll bring up that number, the number for Alicia Findlay. And let's see if we can forward this message. Not Alicia, Calicia. I beg your pardon. So let's see if we can get this information to Calicia Findlay. So this is it. So we're going to share, get this to H. Morgan in Birmingham. All right, so we have done that. Hope that went through. In the meantime, let's continue with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world, and taking your calls on 876-922-4112 to 5. 876-922-4112 to 5. The text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. 876-365-3346. And there's a story. This is from the Cayman Compass. 7 injured as gunman opens fire at football game. Kids and families flee as shots fired at Ed Bush Stadium. At least 7 people have been injured after a gunman opened fire at a Cayman Islands Premier League football match. Spectators at the game, including families with young children, fled for the exit as the shooter ran down the touchline and fired at several people in the crowd at the Ed Bush Stadium in West Bay. One of the victims, who was shot 3 times, staggered into the tunnel and collapsed. Witnesses described him calling out, I've been shot, save me," as a medic from one of the teams worked on him. The shooting happened close to the changing rooms just after 9 p.m. as the game between Elite SC and Academy paused for halftime. Police confirmed that 7 people were taken to hospital with what were described as serious injuries following the incident. All 7 were said to be in stable condition. The Compass understands no players involved in the game were among the injured. Initial reports suggest it was a single shooter. A 911 dispatch spokesperson told the Compass no arrest had been made at press time Sunday, and the scene had been cordoned off with a police helicopter circling. Fans who witnessed the horrific ordeal firsthand recalled several loud pops in quick succession. There must have been 10 shots and everyone began running. I ran into the tunnel, one witness told the Compass. The guy who got shot in the back fell right into the tunnel. He was still conscious, but he was bleeding very heavily. As panic and fear spread through the crowd, another witness recalled the medic from Elite SC rushing to help save the life of the man who had collapsed in the tunnel. We wish those who were involved in the football match and its related matters, we wish them a speedy recovery and trust that the situation, the circumstances will cause us to reflect on our actions, whether we are at home or abroad, and the importance of being mindful of the most vulnerable in our society, the children. Let's continue with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Poro 106 FM. Horace, otherwise known as Spider, has a message or two to share. He says, using cricketing terms, we have to change the ball. So we have to take the new ball because the spinners are not doing a good job. The captain on the batting side even smother his wicket 3 times, and he's still there batting because of the new rules in the game. So we have to clean bowl him, says Horace, otherwise known as Spider, with his cricketing analogy. H. Morgan in Birmingham says, on another issue, Dervan, I tried in vain today several times to contact Morant Bay, Constant Spring, and several other tax offices. All numbers rang without an answer. Is it because it's election day? Why are they not answering? Are they, or they don't have a working telephone number? What is going on with these government departments? Why isn't the public not able to contact them? Thanks for Miss Finley's number, says H. Morgan in Birmingham. It's not strange to have the designated schedule to allow for voters to cast their ballots at their respective stations, and that time is allotted to afford them the opportunity so to do. So it's pretty standard, H. Morgan in Birmingham. That has been the case over the years. That's been the tradition. We'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3:45.
Tune in to Power 106 FM for a special simulcast of the RJ Gleaner Communications Group Election Day Results Show today from 5:30 to 9 p.m. Which party will take control of the country's municipal corporations? Which councillors will emerge victorious when the dust settles? And what of the mayoral race in Portmore? Tune in for the results and the analysis on the special simulcast of the RJ Gleaner Communications Group's Election Day Results Show today from 5:30 to 9 p.m. right here on Power 106 FM.
Good afternoon to Reverend MacDonald in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. Thank you very much for joining us. Blessings to you too on this local government election day. And he goes on to say, congratulations to whoever will win in the election today. Thank you, Reverend MacDonald in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, as we continue to monitor happenings around local government elections. And if you stay with us here within the RGR Gleaner Communications Group, you will not miss a beat. In the meantime, we still want to hear from you, your thoughts in relation to how the day has gone so far and your own personal experience. Nothing that is outside of the realm of public information or information that can be made public. But just so we get a sense of how the voters found the experience, and perhaps to keep the discussions before the election going during the election in terms of subject areas and how they have been treated and are being treated. So we'll continue. Cuban in Georgia says, good afternoon, Sir Malcolm. It's medium pace and full-length fast bowling. The pitch is not assisting the spinners today. It's a fast pitch and wicket. Thank you very much for your cricketing analogy, following from Horace, otherwise known as Spider. And we continue. This one says, "Good day, Dervan. I am texting from Moko in Clarendon. I'm in a wheelchair. The polling is upstairs in a school. What do I do?" Well, that's something that should have been fixed a long time ago. A long time ago. Mind you, if it's a case that the building was established for a particular purpose and then subsequently had to be repurposed. But even then, one would still expect the inclusion of certain building facilities to enhance access to those buildings. So we're sorry to hear. What is not out of the question is, with the help of a couple of strong Jamaicans, you could very well lift that chair with the individual seated in the chair. And let me see, you said you are upstairs. Not sure how far that is in terms of manipulating or maneuvering, perhaps is the most appropriate or the more appropriate. The being able to maneuver that wheelchair safely, it's not out of the way. As the song goes, you're not heavy. And there are more than enough of us who can ensure that you get to the next level so that you too can exercise your franchise. Thank you very much for your message. Let's go to the phone lines, 876-922-4112-5. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Mr. Marco.
Good afternoon.
I called back today especially because I think I needed to clear up some misconception that some people had last week when I spoke about the population growth or lack thereof. I didn't say that people who want to have children should have children, as long as I said those who can take care of them then could have a done for all I care. It's just that my point is there's far too much waste of the human resource in Jamaica. And persons who having several children, having more children than they can take care of, they are the ones who fall between the cracks and end up on the side, all over the place, doing non-productive things and becoming part of the criminal empire in this country.
But there are also those who come out of those settings, those family situations, and would never step on an ant, whether accidentally or otherwise.
Well, I am not saying because people come from poor background that they can't take it and cheat. My brother have 7 boys, the one who follow me. And none of them never come unattached. That's the point. It is not because of poverty, but it's the way in which, as I said, when people having children and they don't take responsibility, some might end up breaking house. But we know the vast majority are the ones who are out there. All those hundreds of thousands of Jamaicans that they claim are unattached. Where they come from? There's no way that we can say these mothers went to some clinic and get artificially inseminated because they can't afford that kind of thing. So these children must have been conceived by two persons. If the father is dead or in prison, then there should be provision made for them to be taken care of. That don't happen in Jamaica because part can't raise picnic, part money can't raise children. Countries that are encouraging their citizens to have more children, they put things in place, subsidy here, subsidy there. In Jamaica, the only thing that people get, poor parents get to look after their kids, is part. And that can't go anywhere. Especially with the kind of some of the parents that we have who don't care about spending money on the children's education. We did a service in this country when we come and talk about when there was free education back in the 70s. And then when Mr. Sarah come in for in 70 in the 80s, he said, boy, I take cash to care and they bring in car sharing. That went right up until 2007 when they come and say free education. Right? But they did not put the requisite money in place. Instead, I hear a minister of education claiming that our schools were there were schools in this country that were producing criminal gang. I don't know that school by itself can produce gang because the children have to come from somewhere. And that's where the gangs, the business start from the home, are where they're coming out of. The homes are the houses that they're coming out of. Because a house is not a home. We need to create more homes in this country. We hear that we have one of the largest households that's headed by female. And asking them a lot of these, they are not in a position to take to especially grow boy children. Boy children need to have a firm hand most time. They just take they just work the weekend. I was listening to one of my friends with a little son, little bit of baby, not listening to the mother. When the father talk, she didn't talk 2 times. But the mother tried to curb him and in fighting the mother. Literally. And he was 3 years old. So when we have children and let them up to the mothers alone, how are we going to get a more productive society? When they remember back when the days were going poor, if you didn't want to stay in school because you didn't have a church, either you stay in school, or if you don't want education, they would say, and limited as it were, then. But they say, all right, if you don't like school, you have to go and learn a trade. How many parents now see to it that if the children don't want to do, Mr. Sarah, that is hard enough. And I look at a particular area where there's several heart institutions. And when I look at a lot of the young men in that community, I check on the heart institution and heart persons, how many of the young men in those communities that were attending any of the art institution, and they said they could count and maybe the 10 finger, how many youths from that community. They're not going there. There's not enough. There's not enough parenting take place because you see them walking all over the place, and then they're on the street side wiping down windshield and doing all kind of non-productive activity. So even though they're place for them to go and train, they're not training. What cost that? We sort of carpenter, we sort of skilled We should have skilled technicians in almost every year in this country. And then you hear from our social, oh, there are hundreds of thousands of unattached youth. How is that possible? If we have parents who care for these children and sit with that, you have to pick them, you are responsible for their education. Right? So how is it that they are not, how is it that they have no, and by the way, where are the parents? So if we have more of those children being produced in this country, it don't make any sense. Because you need to produce citizens who will be liability but assets. And the only way you can get them to be but you have to get them educated or get them skilled, not to become gangster and what you call
nefarious
criminal activity.
Nefarious activities.
I went up to the place where the Cuban doctors are the other day, and when I look at the amount of young professionals, and I said, look at that. Jamaica most of the time we're free and we have democracy and we have what you call it, capitalist system. And Cuba that has been suffering from embargo, from embargo from the United States from more than about 50 years now. They are able to produce professionals that they can go all over the world. You think you can go to Cuba and them work us out there because of community? Yes, we too free in Jamaica.
One moment, please.
At Wellington Dental, they offer cleaning, filling, whitening, and other services for the entire family. The time by Wellington Dental is
4 o'clock.
Tune in to Power 106 FM for a special simulcast of the RJR Gleaner Communications Group Election Day Results Show today from 5:30 to 9 p.m. Which party will take control of the country's municipal corporations? Which councillors will emerge victorious when the dust settles? And what of the mayoral race in Portmore? Tune in for the results and the analysis on the special simulcast of the RJR Gleaner Communications Group's Election Day Results Show today from 5:30 to 9 p.m. right here on Power 106 FM.
My loyalty to give. Oh, green, I love the evenings, Jamaica strong and free. Oh, rounds and loyal promises, oh, duties to thee.
Thanks. Thanks for holding. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Mr. Malcolm, we you look at Cuba and you see how productive their citizens are. Eh? And you look at Jamaica and say, well, how we have so many young people, young and old, because some of them turn old like myself, who are, it's like we're not making use of the freedom that we have. I would take it for granted. I don't see the importance of seeing to it that our offspring are better off than us. How is it to have one generation come, everybody else up on the same level? It don't make sense. It don't make no sense. Countries that are suffering from population decline are countries that are very wealthy. Developed country, fully developed country. Right? And what are the reasons? Well, I know of Korea, South Korea. One of the problems in South Korea, because of the high cost of real estate, young people, the job that they have, even though they are well paid, cannot pay mortgage for the housing stuff that they have in that country. So a lot of young people decide that, well, I can't live at home and have wife and picnic. They need to get their own place. So they end up, well, since I can't afford an apartment, I can't afford to get married. So if I can't afford to get married, I can't have any children. We are not that civilized, and we don't think like that in Jamaica. Man, now we think, well, we were at one time, Because when I was growing up in the country, we see here, the communist argument was to find something to put your head before you put the other one. But that's not the case anymore. We ain't just going around and just letting everyone see that all over the place. And you hear them boast so much baby mother they have, but who is taking care of those children? So if we don't change that culture and have people being more responsible, and if we are more responsible, then we're going to have children in a more responsible fashion. I will go and make sure when we get our children, we are able to take care of them. And I'm not talking about you have to be wealthy, but just be responsible. I don't give up 2 cents for rub, but my 2 kids that I get there, both of them, because I insist. And I say, when my daughter called and said that she gets through to go to a high university, I was telling some of my friends, and I said, boy, I don't even know where the first step going to come from. Yeah? But them said, man, you must be told I'm very happy because the fact I sit down now, and I said to them, I said, look, nobody in our family had gone to college before. So you will be the first one. So you have to be the pathfinder. So and the fact that you are in a place where the opportunity almost the sky, you must make sure you lead the way. So you other people, and you can't. I didn't. Oh, you need to own a house. You need to know. We used to hear young people say, "Boy, what I want to be, I want to become this and I want to become that." No, when you tell them, "Boy, I want to have this, I want to have that," it's all about what they want to have, and they're not even saying how they are going to get it because they are not doing anything, or doing the thing that normally people would do. Whatever they're doing, work hard, diligently, study hard so that they can accomplish something, so that they can hurt. No, it is about getting what they want at any cost. And that culture seems to be coming from the top of our society. It's not about diligence, it's not about working hard. I want to have and what I must have. We have lost our moral compass. And we are degenerating to the lowest. That's why Jamaica right now, when you look at the rest of the Caribbean, just walk and observe. When you go elsewhere, look at all these people, and it's like the one name people are civilized. Huh?
All right, let's leave it there for now.
Yeah.
The debate rages on, and we have some other calls to take as well. But thank you very much for sharing with us once again. This is your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for calling. All right, I think that was Natalie Winter a while ago. Natalie, we don't normally take calls on the what you call it, on Messenger. We don't normally take calls on Messenger. It's either WhatsApp or text, but not via Messenger. Well, thank you. Thank you for trying to get on to talk with us. You're free. The lines are open. 876-922-4112-5. 876-922-4112-5. Couple of other messages apart from the one from Natalie Winter. Asha Gay Hetridge says, bless up to all. One love from Jonestown. One love to you as well and all the other Jamaicans in Jonestown. And we have a couple of viewers and listeners who are making it very clear the political party that they support. So there is that too. And Lloyd Wigan says that wheelchair scenario is so primitive, organizers should be ashamed and reprimanded. And afternoon all, good Jamaican rain, says Angela, who is still in Jamaica from Toronto, Canada. And George Hay says, blessed Monday, Sir Malcolm. Blessed Monday to you too, George Hay. Inez Ayona Campbell, pleasant Monday afternoon to you as well. Thank you. Rohan Walker says, good evening, Mr. Malcolm. Just tuning in from Dominica. Nice election vibes, free from crime and violence. One love, Jamaica, says Rohan Walker. Mikey Morris says, both sides of the story on Monday, election day. He says, good day to you and your Power 106 FM radio station listening audience. Mikey Morris greets us again. Sharon Frey says, hi, Dervan. Greetings to you and other listeners. Wanting to touch base with my brother, Norman Frey of Mount Salem in Montego Bay. Bro, your two sisters are constantly having you in thoughts and prayers. Be safe and happy always. Peaches and Sherry. Also clocking in, as they would say. Let's see, who's this? Dennis Hewitt says, what if I'm buying a property? Or this, sorry, we missed the opportunity to share this information or this query with Calicia Findlay. But she was asking, what if I'm buying a property and almost everywhere on the house has cracks and huge splits? Dennis Hewitt, so that's from Dennis Hewitt. He says, if I'm buying house and all parts of the house, well, we read that already. Hubert Fowlin says, a very pleasant good afternoon to Mr. Dervan Malcolm, both sides of the story, Power 106 FM, and your listening audience. Many happy returns, Hubert Fowlin. Norman Hines, blessed afternoon to you too. Sharon Richards, blessed afternoon, good afternoon to you as well, and all listeners near and far, as you say. Nicola says she's listening on TuneIn. And thank you, Nicola. Thanks for staying in touch with us. Good afternoon to you. And keep the messages coming in, 876-365-3346. Here's Natalie Winter. Good afternoon to you. Thanks for calling.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Dervan, what's up? Hello?
I am fine, thanks. How are you?
I'm all right. Apart from the elections, what's in news? Want to say condolences to the Morgan family for the loss of Peter, and to the RGI Communication Group, and to the family of Mr. Herbert Lawrence. So, condolences.
We join you in conveying condolences.
Oh, okay. Apart from the elections and all that's taking place, what's in the news other than that? Just that?
Pretty much.
Pretty much. Oh, okay. So I hope that, everybody will be satisfied after the results today, and, we go on to build a better Jamaica, I guess. So what's up with you today?
I see Dennis Hewitt saying East Kingston is in good vibes election.
Oh, so, good vibes.
Yes.
My advice to him is, if you are buying a property and you see all those cracks and something on it, I wouldn't buy it. It's like you go into the supermarket and you see a broken item and you say, boy, can you get a discount on this item or so forth? And if you go to the manager and the manager says, they can only give you 5 or 10%, I wouldn't buy it. Because when you see cracks, it's either one thing. It's either structural cracks or foundational cracks. So I wouldn't advise Dennis to buy that property, no matter how lucrative it might look at this point, but I wouldn't advise him to buy that property. Because over time, when you buy a property that looks like that, over time you're gonna, wear and tear, you're gonna have to fix and reinforce that property afterwards. So, it's a common sense question, but I would not advise him to buy that property.
Let the buyer beware.
Yes, true. Because you see, as I look at it, you see, knowledge is power. So I guess not everybody knows everything, but that was my humble opinion. That's just my humble opinion.
Thank you very much for sharing.
So, okay, Dervan, keep that good, and see you tomorrow.
All right. Thanks for the call.
Okay.
Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye. This is your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Live on your smart devices all over the world. And if you missed it, today has some significance. Some significant things happened on this day. And let's see. 1963, an analysis of the census figures indicated there were 63,000 more women than men in Jamaica. That's 1963. An analysis of the census figures indicates there were 63,000 more women than men in Jamaica. More in a moment.
Knowledge is power. Class is in session, Power 106.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now 4:15.
I am bag of high profits and win a bag of cash in the farm to fortune promotion. I go, watch your pocket grow. Watch it grow with high bro. Farm to fortune, that's the way to go. Win millions and credit for your phone. When you buy your feed from high bro. When you buy your feed from high bro. High Pro is giving away millions in the farm to fortune promotion. Buy any qualifying high pro feed and text the entry code in the bag for your chance to win. Enter today. Conditions apply. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Tune in to Power 106 FM for a special simulcast of the RJR Gleaner Communications Group Election Day Results Show today from 5:30 to 9 p.m. Which party will take control of the country's municipal corporations? Which councillors will emerge victorious when the dust settles? And what of the mayoral race in Portmore? Tune in for the results and the analysis on the special simulcast of the RJR Gleaner Communications Group's Election Day Results Show today from 5:30 to 9 p.m. right here on Power 106 FM.
Hi, how can we help?
Violence does not need to be a part of your story. You do not deserve to suffer in silence. You deserve care, protection, help. Let's put gender-based violence in the spotlight. Contact 876-553-0372 for counseling, domestic violence intervention resources, confidential shelter, and more.
A message from the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment, and Sports in collaboration with EU-UN Spotlight Initiative.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. We were sharing some census figures with you from 1963, around this time in 1963. An analysis of the census figures indicates there were 63,000 more women than men in Jamaica, and 40,000 of the surplus was in the corporate area. In Kingston, there were 133 women to every 100 men, while in St. Andrew, there were 120 women to every 100 men. In addition, of the 150,000 unemployed people in Jamaica around this time in 1963, 100,000 of them were women. of the 150,000 unemployed people in Jamaica around this time in 1963, 100,000 of them were women. And a bit of political history news from the archives. The year was, well, let's see if how politically savvy our listeners are on these matters. I don't think we had mentioned it before now. So let's see who can tell us what significant piece of political history unfolded on this day in 2006. What piece of political history unfolded on this day in 2006? Can anybody guess that and share the information with us? Let's see how politically savvy you are on these matters. You can always send us your response as a text message or a WhatsApp message, 876-365-3346. 876-365-3346. What significant piece of political history unfolded on this day in 2006? If you know the answer, please share. 876-922-4112-5, 876-922-4112-5, or you can use the text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346, 876-365-3346. All right, let's see if we have any answers here. Oh, yes, it's a giveaway. So let's see. Jax in Jacksonville says Portia Simpson became president of the PNP. Yes, indeed. On this day in 2006, history was made in Jamaica when on February 26, 2006, Portia Simpson Miller was elected the first female president of the People's National Party. And on March 21st, 2006, she was sworn in as Jamaica's first female prime minister. So there you go. Jackson Jacksonville says, good afternoon, Dervan. I hear the Prime Minister promising Jamaica everything conceivable and invincible, and yet he accuses the PNP as making excessive promises. Prime Minister, it's time to stop because you're still the Prime Minister and you must exude some degree of believability. From Jax in Jacksonville. Thank you very much for your message, Jax in Jacksonville. Ricardo in Glengoff, St. Catherine, greeting everybody as usual. Franklin McDonald in Guelph, Canada, has opened the CIA's World Factbook on total fertility rate, country comparison. And I suspect this will take a little time to open or to download. So we may or may not. Well, let's see how much more time it takes to find out if we'll have to move on to something else. All right, something is happening. So the country comparisons, total fertility rate, TFR, compares figures for the average number of children that would be born per woman if all women lived to the end of their childbearing years and bore children according to a given fertility rate at each age. Total fertility rate is a more direct measure of the level of fertility than the crude birth rate, since it refers to births per woman. And there is a long list. Niger is at the top. Angola. All right, let's see if we can find Jamaica on the list. Let's go down the line. Looking for Jamaica. Taking a while to find Jamaica. Here we go, 101st on the list. 101 on the list. In terms of total fertility rate, Jamaica, 101 on the list. Thank you, Mr. McDonald, for finding another bit of information for us. And all right, we see your message, Angela. Thank you. Nicola in Central Jamaica says, posted this to Facebook before you read Jack's message. Okay. So you figured it out soon enough. Congratulations to you, Nicola in Central Jamaica. Cuban in Georgia has a few threads of messages. Sir Malcolm, if our unemployment rate is so low, what is there any unemployment insurance for those workers who are looking for work until they find employment? I don't think we have. I don't think we have unemployment insurance in Jamaica. I don't believe we do. This is the first of the 2 series T20 cricket game, asks Cuban in Georgia. He's saying a million things in one at the same time. Sir Malcolm, when you file taxes in Jamaica, do you even get back returns from the TAJ? It depends on the situation. If the system merits that process, that procedure, then so be it. Sir Malcolm, today is Portia Simpson Miller's Day, so let's honor our first female Black Prime Minister and celebrate that great Black woman, says Cuban in Georgia. Neville, otherwise known as Salah, says Dervan, blessings and progress to you, my friend. Dervan, is the Prime Minister didn't know that he was not surprised or not supposed to be wearing clothing with logos going to the polling station. I was looking at him and he seemed to be very nervous. I'm hoping to see him at PNP headquarters this evening to congratulate the PNP on their victory, says Salah. Thank you for your message, Salah. This is a text message now. Ideally, how long should it take any people to detect insults to them from other nations as a people that barely any efforts are being made to mask? We hear you. And gonna go to another another bit of information. But since we threw that little quiz a while ago, we will also use the opportunity to tell you that the first Schools Challenge quiz was broadcast on JBC TV on this day in 1970. The first Schools Challenge quiz. In fact, this could be a question on Schools Challenge quiz as well, couldn't it? When was the first Schools Challenge quiz broadcast in Jamaica? I don't think I gave away the answer. No, I don't think I did. But if you think you know the answer, message us, please. 876-365-3346. The first. Let me hold that back for the time being. And watching the time at the same time. So let's go to the break and come back in just a moment.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:30. I've been hearing about this constitutional reform thing. You know anything about it?
Yes, constitutional reform is a chance for us to Jamaicanize the constitution.
But how?
Enough things changed since 1962, and we've matured as a nation. So modernizing the constitution will reflect our current societal values.
Oh, a constitution for Jamaicans, approved by Jamaicans.
Are you ready for the journey? Join us on the road to Republic. Think independence, think Republic. A message from the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs. Power 106 FM wishes to advise its listeners that due to special coverage of the 2024 local government elections, the Outer World will not be aired this afternoon. The Outer World returns tomorrow at its usual time. We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause. Join your favorite nighttime show, Dear Pastor, with Reverend Dr. Aaron Damas, Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 p.m. Call in or text in and have great discussions with Dear Pastor as we exchange views on a range of subjects. That's Dear Pastor with Reverend Dr. Aaron Damas, Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 p.m. right here on Power 106 FM, the Power 106 FM app, and go-jamaica.com. Tune in to Power 106 FM for a special simulcast of the R.J. Gleaner Communications Group Election Day Results Show today from 5:30 to 9 p.m. Which party will take control of the country's municipal corporations? Which councillors will emerge victorious when the dust settles? And what of the mayoral race in Portmore? Tune in for the results and the analysis on the special simulcast of the R.J. Gleaner Communications Group's Election Day Results Show today from 5:30 to 9 p.m. right here on Power 106 FM.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. I'm Dervan Malcolm. And Jax in Jacksonville is trying the question about when the first Schools Challenge quiz was broadcast on JBC TV. And Jax in Jacksonville says, in his head, 1969 Schools Challenge quiz. No, it wasn't 69. It wasn't 69. Who is this now? It wasn't 69, so we'll give you the answer. The first Schools Challenge quiz was broadcast on JBC TV on this day in 1970. You were close, Jax, in Jacksonville. You were at 69. And indeed, it was 1970. The first Schools Challenge quiz was broadcast on JBC TV on this day in 1970. The program was videotaped at the Mannings High School in Westmoreland between Mannings and Rossies High School on February 13. Good afternoon to Cassandra from Antigua and Barbuda. She says, tuning in online. Welcome. Welcome, Cassandra. Good to have you on board. And all the very best to you. Let's go to the phone lines once again, 876-922-4112-5. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Good afternoon.
Yes. You take any type of reasoning, politics and all that?
What do you think?
I don't know.
Okay. Can't help
Because
you.
you have some Jamaican people, them scared of politics. I don't know why they're so scared. And politics is a natural thing around the world.
Everything is politics.
Yeah. So it simply means that you is not afraid to take my call.
Afraid to take your call. What kind of, let me borrow Monty Perkins' voice. What kind of nonsense are you talking about, sir? What kind of nonsense is that?
I'm giving them Monty Perkins laugh. What happened is this? I heard people talking about the PNP was in power for almost 18 years and they don't do nothing. But they are spreading rumors. Nothing is like that. And the PNP do several things in the 18 years.
No, as I always say, there is when people start going to extremes, that's when they start to lose to lose interest.
Okay. Because what happened? The highway 2000, right, was built by the PNP. The regulation of telecom industry, PNP. Depositors Insurance Scheme, PNP. Tourism Enhancement Fund, PNP. The PAD Program, PNP. The National Health Fund, PNP. The Jamaica Jobs for Elderly Program, PNP. The JUTC, PNP. The OUR, PNP. The Emancipation Park, PNP. The Rural Agriculture Development Association, PNP. The Spectrum Management Authority, PNP. The Insport, PNP. The Greater Portmore Housing Development, PNP. The upgrade of junior secondary school to high school was done by the PNP. The Oak Road expansion was done by the PNP. The Washington Boulevard expansion was done by the PNP. The licensing of the Jamaica Used Cars Imports Association was done by the PNP. The National Environment and Planning Agency was formed by the PNP.
All right, I get it. So all these things happened under the stewardship during the time of the People's National Party. That's essentially what you're saying. Other than that, it's sounding like a public service announcement. And we just gave you a little latitude a while ago and you ran with it.
Hello?
But yeah, we get it. We get the point.
I heard them talking about this Prime Minister building road, highway. Highway is very good, but I think the community road need to deal with the community road. Because when you go in some nice scheme, you have some pretty house there and some pretty yard, but the road is very bad, man. You understand?
Yeah, no, I know. I see them. I drive on them.
Yeah.
I know.
If you go to Patrick City, if you go to Donny Park and Pebble Card and
and Meadowbrook and all those places. The road is very bad, man. So it's that affect the people more than the highway, you know. I never heard somebody come on the television demonstrating about the new highway. People always demonstrate about fixing the existing road. It's that people always demonstrate about, you know, fixing the existing road. Nobody is not demonstrating about fixing new highway. You understand?
Yeah.
So this leader, he is not in touch with the people. He don't look like he know what the people need in this country. You understand? So when you're talking about highway,
what do you think the people need in this country?
The people need to go home, right, and be able to look about them family. Them can buy food very affordable, and they don't have to worry and not care about food on the shelf and those things. That the people want. The people want a good health system. You know, they need public hospital with very good medical equipment inside there, and that the people want. The people want to have land title. They don't want to be capturing land all about the place all the while. You know, the people want to own land and then want them register title, and that people want. You understand what I mean? And the people want a good transportation system about the island, because you're talking about JUTC bus. Their bus fare is going to drop down to $50. But what about the people who live outside of Kingston, who don't have the opportunity to take a JUTC bus? For instance, if you live in St. Anne, you know, to travel from one point to one point, you know, will cost you almost $1,000. You know?
Yes, it's quite a costly venture.
Yes, in St. Anne. So when you are talking about JUTC bus only deal with around 10% of the moving public. You understand? So the people, they want good transportation system, they want good health system, they want a low crime rate, they want good housing system, and the dollar, the US dollar is too high in Jamaica. We want a strong dollar that people don't have to run go foreign, go to little eat at work. You understand what I mean?
Well, that's what you call it?
Yeah, because people are going foreign go work with minimum wage, because two of them can come back to Jamaica and change out the US dollar, and them can, you understand? But if the US dollar if the Jamaican dollar did strong, right? The people them don't have to go and work for no minimum wage of foreign, because that wouldn't make no sense. You understand? It's
really?
all about the weak dollar what we have here.
What about those who see that as their only option or their preferred option?
Yes, because $2 week, that's why that's the only option them have. Because when you work with the Jamaican dollar, when you go to the supermarket, you find out say the price of the goods go up every day. What they do, they wait until they go to bed at night time to sleep, and then raise up the price.
Really?
Yes, because I buy a biscuit
oh dear.
$50 recently, and the following morning the biscuit are selling for $70. You understand? So it's that the people they need. The people they don't want to talk on a highway, and you know that don't really mean nothing, because when you go to some part in the central American country, you know, like Brazil, you have some places there with nice highway and those things. And when you look around the corner, you see a lot of street children eating out a garbage pan. You understand what I mean?
That sounds like an exaggeration.
No, it's true. Brazil have the most street children in the world.
Okay.
And Brazil have some nice highway and some nice buildings and hotels. But what happened in Brazil, the gap between the rich and poor in Brazil is extremely high.
Wide. Mm-hmm.
So it's not taking place in Jamaica. according to how me see this man I won the country, in pushing the poor people into a corner, little by little, squeezing the poor people into a corner, little by little. Because the house, what I build now, I sell it for $16 million. $16 million. Our ordinary poor person who gets the minimum wage will be able to afford to buy a house for $16 million. Eh? Maybe you can get a house for $12 million, but you can't afford to buy a house for $12 million. Minimum wage workers, you can't buy a house for $12 million. You understand what I mean? So what he's doing, he's pushing the poor people into a corner, squeezing them into a corner. That's the way I see it. What is it?
We hear you loud and clear.
Okay, because I was about to give you some more things what the PMP do in 18 years, but you just have me.
You got more than enough. And we really are supposed to be mindful of that, especially in terms of the airtime and what is allowed. So you're good to go. Thank you. Thank you very much for calling. He's gone? Okay. All right, let's continue with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. We'll come back with some more for you in just a moment.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:45. Power 106 FM, the digital sound, and now reaching you in more ways. Listen to us on 106.1 to 106.9 on the FM band. You can also listen to us on the Power 106 FM app, which you can download on the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can tune in on your mobile phones by dialing 631-359-8281 if you're in the U.S. And if you're in the UK, you can dial 0330-606-0953. Plus, listen to us on onespotmedia.com and the One Spot Media app, or log on to go-jamaica.com. Power 106 FM, where all views can contend, giving you powerful talk radio in so many ways, on air and online.
Tune in to Power 106 FM for a special simulcast of the RJR Gleaner Communications Group Election Day Results Show today from 5:30 to 9 p.m. Which party will take control of the country's municipal corporations? Which councillors will emerge victorious when the dust settles? And what of the mayoral race in Portmore? Tune in for the results and the analysis on the special simulcast of the RJR Gleaner Communications Group's Election Day Results Show today from 5:30 to 9 p.m. right here on Power 106 FM. Power 106 FM wishes to advise its listeners that due to a special simulcast of the RJR Gleaner Communications Group's Election Day Results Show, the program Power Play will not air this evening. Power Play will return to its regular airing on Tuesday, February 26. We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause.
27. Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Good afternoon to all working Jamaicans tuned into Both Sides of the Story here on Power 106 FM. It's a good time for us to ask ourselves, how productive have we been today? How productive have we been today? Let's continue with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. GBO says, hi, Dervan. In my opinion, the Jamaica Labour Party should win the local government elections because of their commitment to effective governance, transparency, and delivering results for the community, with a proven track record of improving infrastructure, providing essential services, and promoting economic growth. The JLP has shown that they are the best choice to lead and represent the interests of the people at the local level. I went out and voted for progress and development. I went and voted for the JLP, says this person. And let's go to the phone lines once again, 876-922-4112-5. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Hello? Are you there? No? It's like, hello? Good afternoon. No, that person got tired of holding, perhaps. Let's move on. This one says, Mr. Malcolm, please tell that man and also the breg that black let me see if I can make hold on. Mr. Malcolm, please tell that man and also that locked up. What do you mean? Locked up by PNP, former river sites to Gore. So true. 18 years, well, people must look for performing or performance. No care who. One love. Keep up the good work, Mr. Malcolm. Jah guide. All right. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us on both sides of the story. All the best to you. And let's clear some more messages. Yes. So George Hay confirms in his mind the 26th of February, 1970. And February 26th says Dennis Hewitt. He says, Dervan, I gave the right answer. Well, congratulations to you. And Ricardo is wishing us journeying mercies. Thank you very much, Ricardo. The listener who goes by the moniker Yard Boy says, good evening, Mr. Malcolm, I think you meant. Tell those people who live in foreign that we run our own business and they must stay out of our business. They must take care of the business where they live. Well, this country is still a democratic country. And once you have bona fide ties to Jamaica, you're good to go. You're good to go. But we need all hands on board, all hands on deck. Let's remember that. And Natalie says, whether we vote or not, will we have a better Jamaica tomorrow? How will the future be? Better or worse? Questions that anyone who has interest in the affairs of Jamaica should ask ourselves. Let's see who else is messaging us. 876-365-3346. Neville, otherwise known as Salah, says, Dervan, I agree with Milton. The PNP have a long list of achievements. Sorry, I can't say the same about the JLP government. What I would give them a little credit for is that they continue the process that were started by the PNP, although they're wrecking it by the way of corruption. Salah from Kingston. Thank you for your message, Salah from Kingston. And we can still take a couple more messages before we have to wrap today's edition of both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. And let's see what will happen between now and the new day tomorrow. Let's see. Let's see how things will unfold. Keep in touch with us. In fact, we will know, all things being well, we will know by, maybe by about 9 o'clock tonight. Maybe by about 9 o'clock tonight. So let's see how it goes. And remember, all of this will be live from 5:30 this afternoon until until sometime after 9 this evening, or pretty much from now until just about 9 o'clock. We'll see. We will see. So in the meantime, can we thank you once again for the privilege of serving you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story, for today, Monday, the 26th of February, 2024. The moving finger writes, and having writ moves on, nor all your piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all your tears wash out a word of it. All things being well, Both Sides of the Story returns tomorrow afternoon, 2 to 5. Oh, sorry, we still have a couple of messages flowing in. Colonel Terode in St. Mary says, good afternoon, Dervan. I come to the conclusion that the JLP and its followers don't know the meaning of transparency. And Nordia is recording a voice note. Don't think we'll be able to fit it in, but just enough for her to say good evening. Well, good afternoon to you, Nordia Bird in Manchester. Thank you very much for your message. There's a previous message that was sent, which we weren't able to audition to make a decision about playing it. So you might want to go the route of the text messages as opposed to the voice note and see which works best. But we have also been recognizing something in terms of the messages that we've been getting, that for some people it's best to send us a voice note, apparently. For others, it's the text message. And for yet others is to call us and have discussions with us here on Both Sides of the Story. But we want to thank you once again for making it Both Sides of the Story here on Power 106 FM. All things being well, Both Sides of the Story returns tomorrow afternoon, 2 to 5. Till then, this is Dervan Malcolm reminding all of us that is an opportunity to do better than yesterday. Have a great rest of the afternoon. Take care.
My loyalty to give.
Bye.